HarperCollins presents Goodbye, California by Alistair MacLean, read by Jeff Harding. This novel is entirely a work of fiction. It is presented in its original form and may depict ethnic, racial, and sexual prejudices that were commonplace at the time it was written. Author's Preface. It was at 20 seconds to 6 o'clock on the morning of 9th February 1972 that the earth shook. As such tremors go, it could hardly even be called noteworthy. It was certainly no more remarkable than those that afflict the citizens of Tokyo and its surrounding countryside scores of times a year. Pendant lamps oscillated briefly, some precariously balanced objects fell from their shelves, but those were the only discernible effects of the passing of the earth ripple. The aftershock, considerably weaker, came 20 seconds later. It was learnt afterwards that there had been 4 more aftershocks, but those were of so low a magnitude that they registered only on the seismographs. Altogether, a rather inconsequential affair, but memorable for me, at least, inasmuch as it was the first ever tremor I had experienced. Having the ground move beneath your feet provides a distinctly disquieting sensation. The area where the maximum damage had occurred lay only a few miles to the north, and I drove out to see it, but not until the following day, partly because of reports of fissured roads, damaged viaducts, and burst water mains, but chiefly because the authorities bend an unkindly eye on rubberneckers whose unwanted presence interferes with the efforts of rescue and medical teams. The township of Sylmar, which had borne the brunt of the earthquake, lies in the San Fernando Valley in California, some miles north of Los Angeles. In fact, so unconscionably sprawling is that city that it encompasses Sylmar within its boundaries. To the untutored eye, the scene in that town appeared to be one of considerable confusion, with wreckers, bulldozers, and trucks milling around at apparent random. But this was entirely illusory. All activities were highly organized and under central control. Unlike their more unfortunate brethren in, say, Nicaragua or Guatemala or the Philippines, places sadly accustomed to being sideswiped by much more than their fair share of earthquakes, the Californians are not only prepared for, but are highly geared to deal efficiently with the aftermaths of natural disasters. The San Franciscans, for instance, have 15 hospitals in kit form distributed at various key points around their city in preparation for the next earthquake, which is widely and more than a little fearfully regarded as inevitable. Damage to buildings was widespread, but not severe, except in one very localized area. This was, or to a considerable extent had been, the Veterans Administration Hospital. Before the earthquake, it had consisted of 3 parallel blocks of buildings. The 2 outer blocks had remained virtually intact. The central one had collapsed like a house of cards. Destruction was total. No part of it was left standing. Over 60 patients died. The contrast between this ruin and the virtual immunity of the 2 sister blocks would have seemed incomprehensible to anyone without some knowledge of the California building codes. With some such knowledge, it was all too readily understandable. The city of Los Angeles has the misfortune to have its very own private and personal structure fault running under its streets. This is known as the Newport-Inglewood Fault, and when one side of the fault suddenly jerked forward in respect to the other in 1933, it produced the Long Beach earthquake, in which a disconcertingly large number of buildings fell down solely because they had been shoddily built on unreinforced made-up ground. This prompted the authorities to introduce a new building code, designed to result in structures as nearly earthquake-proof as possible, a code that is as rigorously enforced as it is rigorous in nature, and it was under the enforcements of this code that the 2 outer blocks of the Veterans Hospital had been built, one in the late 1930s, the other in the late 1940s. The destroyed block had been
Sample complete. Ready to continue?